realize it's her lot to love getting high, but there are worse afflictions. And the minute she realizes this, she'll call me to bring Ryan over. By the time we get there, she'll already be buzzed, and maybe I'll stay a while. Maybe she'll be grateful or affectionate or dismissive, but nothing will change. Her life and mine, to the extent it revolves around hers, will start up again at virtually this same point. Over the years, I've done my own share of recreationals, primarily hallucinogens, but I never liked snorting for the way it made me aware of my head. Finally, I abandoned the drug realm altogether. I don't think Sylvia's forgiven me for not developing a habit myself, but she wouldn't change places with me. There's an eruption of shouting from behind the screen door, then silence. The houses in this development are pastel-colored boxes, and I remember a remark of Sylvia's from the day I helped her move in. She said she never thought she'd be living in a silly putty-colored house, and I wondered if she remembered how the corn used to cover this area when we were kids, and how we once drove out this way for a picnic. Now there's a red Chrysler parked in the street by her mailbox, with a jumble of ratty suitcases and shopping bags alongside, and as I look at the car and the bags, I wonder why Sylvia even bothers keeping track of her expectations. Sylvia reappears, accompanied by a gray cat and a well-groomed social services type. They don't look up when I stroll over, so I touch Sylvia's shoulder, and she darts me an anxious glance. "You two know each other," she says. "My sister Caroline, my interventioneer." I put out my hand. It's perhaps 15 years since I saw Sylvia's little sister, and in those days she looked like an overgrown cheerleader. Now she's a dressy woman in stockings and a silk scarf tied in a Windsor knot. She takes my hand and drops it, then gives me a smile that's no smile at all. "Could I speak to you?" she says to Sylvia, and the two of them step away. She keeps her voice low, but any idiot could guess what she's saying. Actually, I'm not a bad choice when it comes to childcare, even if no one's asked me before. There's nothing wrong with my intellect or judgment, and my steady gig, maintenance at the convent, makes for a flexible schedule. Living on disability, I'm home a lot, and I run a stable household and keep my nose clean, so I'm a poster boy, a drug-free, contributing member with no record of violent episodes. I'm practically a hero. If I don't utterly love life, so what? I don't know anyone who does. Of course, with my scar, I'm not most kids' preferred associate. I decided years ago I had nothing to hide and threw all my caps away, and as my hair's thinned, the dent in my skull has grown more noticeable. Then there's the language thing. But people learn to deal with that. Anyway, it's my impression that kids like talking but care less about being talked to. These are my thoughts when the front door opens and Ryan steps onto the stoop. A brown-skinned, lanky guy of about 9, with wide-set hazel eyes, tightly curled hair, and a few dark freckles across his nose. He's wearing a clean white t-shirt with long basketball shorts and big white basketball shoes. I've never known who his father was, but it's not me. His dad wasn't Caucasian. And of course my time with Sylvia was long, long ago, whereas Ryan was the surprise of Sylvia's mid-30s. Sylvia steps toward us. "Caroline doesn't think I should leave him with you," she says unnecessarily, "like I have so much choice." She eyes us as though we'll disagree, but it's true. Sylvia's circle is barely larger than mine. Ryan says, "Why can't I go with Aunt Caroline?" Sylvia snorts derisively, and for a moment this seems to be her total response. Then she snaps, "Don't bust Mama's chops right now, you mind?" And in the silence that follows, I'm embarrassed for both of them. Carolyn touches her elbow, and Sylvia says, all right, and places her hands on Ryan's shoulders. "Don't you want to stay in school here with your friends, rather than having to make up a lot of work, Isn't that a good idea?" Kneeling before him, she puts on a smile. "Howie has a great big Victorian house and a nice spare bedroom you'll have all to yourself, and there's lots of interesting people living there. So let Mama get her act together, and then we'll have such a reunion, 'kay?" Ryan frowns. He looks down, mumbling something no one can hear. Sylvia says, Then speak!" And for a moment he looks defiant. He kicks at a leaf that's fluttered to the flagstones, then carefully flattens it with the toe of a sneaker. At last, He leans against Sylvia and whispers. Sylvia sighs. Please don't do this. Howie's known you all your life. He loves you a lot. It's true, of course, that when he was born, I went to the hospital, and I even wept as I held him in my arms. But Sylvia knows I wasn't weeping for joy, and she can't think he and I have much of a bond. I see Ryan when his mother calls me. She wants a couch moved, some wood chopped, the cat brought off the roof, and with a task involved, she makes an effort to be cheerful. As for Ryan, he's polite but aloof with me, and I'm carefully polite and amiable toward him. But love? We don't go beyond neutral. Sylvia says, you and Howie will do all sorts of guy things, whatever guys do. She's being comical, but when he remains impassive, her voice hardens. Anyway, Buster, it's what's happening, and it's not open to discussion.